Greetings, ladies and mental gents, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiar, written by Archangel98, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. Just a quick note, there is a one-shot by the same name written by a different author. That one was the inspiration for this series. This author asked that author if he could continue the story, and this is that. So, this is a retelling of the first chapter because it was rewritten by this author. Please don't forget to use the usual YouTube gump if you want more of this stuff. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 1. Around me, all that I could be heard was the scribbling of pencils filling in multiple choice bubbles. I wasn't too stressed about the test since the engineering course I wanted to enter wasn't particularly hard to get into, and I happened to be pretty decent at maths. The class was 10 minutes into a mid-year math exam when, under me, a brightly illuminated circle patterned with lines and smaller circles appeared. Startled, I looked up, but no one seemed to notice. That's when everything went dark. Like a slow blink, the world came back into view again, except my view was full of little royal blue-colored and almost sparkling bird nymphs staring at me. I staggered back in surprise before I managed to regain my balance and look around the room. The roof was just above my head, but since these little nymph things were what this room was designed for, I guess that made sense. To them, it probably looked more like an arena or a school gym. In fact, there were definitely some kind of gymnastics bars and other assorted climbable bars scattered around the room. Turning my attention back to the nymphs, I noticed a couple amongst them seemed to be a little larger and duller colored, like a steel blue and decorated in gold lace that definitely made them look more, official. There was one standing in front of the crowd, what seemed to me to be, younger nymphs. They were almost holding them back behind a kind of invisible line. Well, behind the crowd stood 3 taller ones who definitely looked apprehensive. My attention finally rested on the one bluebird nymph facing me, standing in front of all the others. It looked like it was fidgeting, peering at me with upturned eyes. "Pepper, it chirped, and as it did so I felt encouragement, demand, and I should tell them who I am. I guess they wouldn't know, I thought to myself. "Hey, I'm Jake," I said to the crowd at large, waving my hand. The group of brightly colored nymphs exploded in a cacophony of just chirps. The chirps and tweets strongly reminded me of excited whispering when someone does something amazing in a library or a situation where you need to be quiet. The 4, who I was starting to suspect were teachers, seemed to relax a little. Their feathers flattened closer to their bodies, but their gazes stayed wary. The little light blue one at the front seemed to gain a bit of confidence, holding its head higher and walking with a longer stride. "Pritparal," it chirped once again, but this time I felt submission and I should go to my master. Wait, master? I thought, seemingly at odds with my own mind. I cannot keep her waiting. Wait, what? Why can't I keep who waiting? In my mind, the back and forth raged. I would flip between desperation and a desire to serve to confusion and clarity. No, I just have to walk to her. What the frick? Why am I thinking? Go to her. Holy crap, this is mind control. Go to her now. Get out of my head. I screamed, filled with frustration and unbridled rage. As I yelled, the crowd of birds shrank away, falling completely silent. Even the 4 teachers looked stunned. But they quickly recovered. In the silence, the light blue one repeated nervously, "Pritparal." I should know! I yelled again. This time the crowd scattered, chirping desperately as they flattened their wings and flew over each other trying to get away. The 3 teachers at the back were prepared this time, chirping in sync. The 3 gestured towards what looked like a jagged rock sitting on a trolley between them and motioned towards me. This was followed by the rock flying towards me at the speed of a pegged handball. Out of the pure instinct, my hand protected my face and caught the jagged rock, which was followed by loudly screaming, "Ow!" The mayhem instantly came to a stop as all the little feathered heads turned towards the source of the sound. I dropped the rock out of my right hand and into my left and looked down at the broken remains of the pencil that I must have been unknowingly holding the whole time. It had snapped, and one of the broken halves was protruding a little into my palm. "That hurt!" I shouted, throwing the rock back in the general direction it came from. The stone flew and buried itself halfway into the floorboards right in front of the teacher nymphs, who staggered back and fell over with what in hindsight must have been utter horror, judging by the puffed-up feathers. The fourth teacher was shaking a little blue nymph and chirping something, while the rest of the students were stampeding out of the room. That's when I finally realized the gravity of what had probably happened. Crap, I thought. I looked down at the little nymph who began chirping something again, but this time I didn't feel anything. Confused, I looked around the room and then down at myself, only to see my legs disappearing. Holy crap! I exclaimed as my stomach, hands and chest faded into nothing. The last thing I saw before the world fading into dark was the little blue nymph staring at me in what looked like shock. And then I was back. Students writing, the supervisor staring daggers at me, everything exactly as I'd left it. Glancing at the clock, I still had 10 minutes past the start of the exam, the exact same time as I disappeared. I examined myself up and down, then saw my pencil, broken, with a little bit of blood trickling down from my palm. It had almost been a year since that strange encounter. Thankfully, I graduated high school without any issues. I didn't tell anyone about my experience that day, figuring that I would either be laughed at or institutionalized. In spite of my greatest hopes and wishes, I didn't see any of my friends jumping out and saying, "It's just a prank, bro," or "Gotcha," nor even any cryptic lines which may be references to what happened. Nor could I find anything strange in what I ate that day. There weren't any opportunities for anyone to have slipped me something in my drinks or food, so I simply kept my mouth shut. I ended up writing it off as a mystery. But it got me thinking, if I did get summoned to another world, and it happened like in some of the stories I read, would I be ready? Since my answer to that was a solid no, I decided to do something about it. My mild obsession with science and engineering actually ended up helping me in my final semester at high school, even if the new archery, martial arts, fencing, and firearm classes didn't. I may have overprepared just a bit. I was now well into my first semester at uni, studying a flexible first-year engineering and science course, and had started to doubt that anything was going to come out of the strange experience. That was until one day, at the firing range, as I was raising my rented Glock 34, that same patterned circle appeared, and everything went dark. Opening my eyes, there was the same aqua blue bird nymph, leaning against a wooden wall behind it. This time, I was determined not to do anything that might spook it, and risk losing my chance at a proper hello. So I steeled myself to resist, but not to overreact to whatever came next. It chirped quickly, and, like last time, I felt my mind trying to convince me to do something, but this time it wasn't desire to serve or some compulsion to submit. It was fear, grief, and desperation. It wasn't trying to give an order. It was pleading. This time, I understood it immediately. That chirp was a help me. Setting my face to grim determination, I nodded to the poor creature and turned around to the scene of destruction. We were in what looked like a ballroom, one whose roof was tall enough for me to fit, but the tables lay on their sides, broken and cracked, with more of the little bird nymphs littering the floor, many in pools of blood with sickening injuries. In the middle of them all, with its attention fully focused on me, was a massive monster. Massive, for the nymphs that is. It really was about the size of a large dog, reaching about my thighs on all fours, and was best described as a mutant child of a dog, a lion, and a porcupine. The monster tensed its muscles, opening its mouth, and let out a horrific screech. I raised my gun and fired. Seemingly instantly, there was a hole in front of the creature's forehead and a spray of red behind its head, all of which was accompanied by the sound of metallic snap and the squelch of exploding braids. The monster's screaming stopped. It stood still, as if frozen in time. Then slowly, it fell forward with a meaty thud onto its stomach. I wanted to help the other birds, but my brain was still processing what had just happened. Did I just frick up? What if that was a person? I mean, it does have blood all over its claws and around its mouth. But what if it was a mistake? And all of these nymph things, how can I wondered, but was cut off halfway through my thought as a single chirp from behind me. Turning around, The little nymph projected a feeling of amazement, relief, and mourning into my mind. I smiled, thinking at least I had done something right by this one, and replied, "Any time." After hearing my words, the little nymph sunk back against the wall, closed its eyes, and lay there still. Just then, I heard the frantic chirps getting louder from the corridors. Turning around to find the source, I noticed I was fading again. My legs already gone, my hands, chest, and then I saw the origin of the chirps. Larger, more professional-looking nymphs poured through one of the doors. That was my last sight before fading away. End of chapter. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps: Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Pudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.